I do think that being a Christian is anti-culture. There requires a certain level of sacrifice or just knowing like, hey, this isn't going to be the status quo. Me pursuing a godly life.
Hi, everybody. I'm Cheryl Crisp from Movie Guide, and this is Coffee and Conversation with Colton Dixon.
What's up, everybody? How you doing?
Colton, let's start at the very beginning. What was Colton Dixon like as a little boy? Have you always loved music and Jesus?
Yeah, I grew up in church, so I feel like music was naturally all around me. And grew up seeing my parents' love for Jesus and made that commitment when I was about 7 years old. Um, at least that was the start of that journey. I think at some point in everyone's life, you have to make faith your own and stop riding off the coattails of someone else's faith. And that happened for me a little bit later in high school. But man, as a kid, I did always love music. Whether it was, trying to learn the dance moves to Thriller by Michael Jackson or singing to Garth Brooks or, it didn't matter. I just always loved music, even, when I could start walking. But yeah, music became really personal to me at kind of that 7 to 13 age, whenever I started playing piano and taking lessons and started singing for the first time and felt that was one of my real connections to God. So yeah.
Fast forward, Colton, to today, your love of Jesus and music has your song in a major motion picture called Sight. And your song is Rest of My Life. Tell us about it.
Yeah, I'm so excited about this. It comes out this weekend, so excited. But this song, we weren't planning on having it in a movie. We wrote it at the top of the year, and it was kind of just a reflection of when I came to faith and when I met Jesus and when Jesus met me and knowing that life was forever going to look different. So it's almost like that challenge and I don't know, that line in the sand of me looking at myself even and going, hey, like from here forward, like I'm gonna dare to reach higher and love harder and be everything that, I know God has made me to be. And so that's the song that we wrote. And I have loved this song since the moment we wrote it. And then lo and behold, before we even released it, somehow Angel Studios heard the song and thankful to whoever made that connection. And they were like, "Hey, I think this really fits our film." And so after seeing the film, I got to go to the premiere in Los Angeles last week, and it's just a beautiful film. And can't wait for you guys to see it. But the song does fit so perfect, so super excited about that.
Colton, I got to see a sneak preview and I loved the movie, and
Yeah,
your song was
same.
so great in it. What do you hope audiences take away from the movie?
Oh man, I think what's inevitable about this movie is you're gonna leave inspired. I actually got to meet Dr. Ming Wang at the premiere, and even just speaking with him for the brief few moments that we had, just that one-on-one encounter with him, I was inspired. I knew that this man was a hard worker. He was devoted to what he felt called to do, but also he just has an immense love for Jesus, and that radiates off of him. And the movie is that. Even in the moments where they don't come out and say, "Hey, Jesus was working in this" or whatever, it's very obvious that's what was going on behind the scenes. And I love that. It kind of speaks for itself. But you're going to leave this film inspired. You're going to leave this film almost like a chance to look in the mirror and go, okay, what am I doing to fulfill the plan that God has for me? Because here's the ultimate example of someone who didn't give up and kept pursuing and kept pushing and even when the odds weren't in his favor. And really remarkable. So again, can't wait for you guys to see it. I loved it as well. I'm glad you did.
It was really, really great. And Colton, you just had your first cameo TV role on Great American Family Channel in County Rescue. How fun was that? And are we going to see Colton Dixon doing more acting?
Man, again, something that wasn't on my radar at all. I did some theater back in high school, but that kind of is the extent of Colton's, acting career. Um, yeah, they approached me and said, "Hey, we'd love for you to play yourself on this new show, and it's about first responders and kind of navigating getting into that field and everything that they do for the community." And I'm like, you know what? Sure, let's do it. It sounds like fun, and it was an absolute blast. Yeah, I mean, it required, I had to choke on a cough drop, and I'm like, I've got to make this convincing. Like, how do I? So I was like asking everyone on set, like, hey, like, let me know if I'm doing something dumb, but it turned out pretty good. I was actually happy with that, and we loved the show. We watched the show and thought it was great, and
Yeah.
yeah. So who knows? Is it the end of my acting career? I'll let you be the judge of that.
I,
If you
I
think I
think
should
it's
pursue it, maybe I should.
I think it's the start of your acting career. It was really, really great. And I also
Yeah.
loved the way it showed your band praying um,
Yeah.
in, in the segment. So it was really, really great. Now we can't let you get away today, Colton, without mentioning American Idol. You were top
Yeah.
7 in season 11. And what did it mean to you to share your faith with millions of people?
You know, first off, I will say I'm thankful for others who kind of opened the doorway to doing that. People on the show, like Danny Goki and Mandisa, and so many others who weren't afraid to wear their faith on their sleeve. And then outside of the American Idol platform, people like Tim Tebow, I really look up to Tim, just being unashamed. Um, I love that they kind of paved the way, but uh, I think that with everything that life throws at you, it's an opportunity to show people, put your money where your mouth is, so to speak. And when I went on that show, I grew up in church, like I said earlier, but I didn't feel like I needed to be preachy or I needed to point a finger. I feel like God really put it on my heart just to live the way I knew to live. And I'm not perfect at it, wasn't perfect at it then, but I tried, and I think God blessed that, and He rewarded that with amazing conversations that would organically happen backstage, on camera, and I'm so glad that people were inspired, that I inspired people the same way that other people have inspired me to do the same. So thankful for that opportunity.
Yeah. Father's Day is coming up, and you and your wife Annie have adorable twin daughters that are
Yeah.
almost 4. What
Yeah.
does being a father mean to you, Colton?
It's my favorite thing in the world. Like, I love music. I love my wife. I love, so many things in this world that I love. But man, walking through the door, coming off the road or even getting home from a writing session or whatever, walking through the door and seeing them light up, and it's just the best feeling in the world. It's also the biggest responsibility in the world as well, knowing that what my wife and I impart into them will greatly affect them and will set them up for success or failure. It's like, okay, God, please lead us in this. Holy Spirit, lead us in this. Um, but I love being a dad. It's my favorite. We're gonna celebrate big. We're planning to go to Hawaii for like around Father's Day. So we're gonna go do it and can't wait.
Uh, what would you say to young people out there about living a life with Jesus versus living a life without Jesus?
Honestly, it's as simple as this. I've found that whenever I've tried to do things without Jesus in the picture, it always falls short, and I always feel empty at the end of it. It doesn't matter, even if you're trying to do a good thing, like it feels like there's something missing. And I've always found that whenever I include Jesus, um, it blows my mind at the reward. And even if the reward doesn't happen right away, um, I know that it's right. There's like a sense in my spirit. It's like, all right, cool, awesome, we did it. Let's start looking for the next thing. So for young people out there, one, don't be afraid of what other people think of you. Identity is huge. Find your identity in who God says you are, not in who the world says you are. That can be hard. especially with all the social media and craziness that we live in. But um, I do just encourage you to look that up for yourself. Just a couple quick things. God says that he basically looks at us like royalty. We're heirs to the throne of God. And I think if we saw ourselves that way, we would make different choices, and we would hold ourselves to a higher standard. And yeah, so I just encourage you to look that up and to really push in, see what God has for your life, and don't worry about what other people think, because it's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like you're kind of like a Christian rock rebel. And do you feel
Mm.
like you kind of have to be a rebel nowadays to go against society to follow Jesus?
I do think that being a Christian is anti-culture where we're at as a culture right now. It's not the cool thing to be a Christian, and you know, that might change. I do think that we're on the brink of revival, you know, across America for sure, if not the world. And yeah, that doesn't necessarily mean you have to like shave the sides of your head and, like, you know, wear edgy clothes, but that's just kind of where I've gravitated. But yeah, I do think that there requires a certain level of sacrifice, or just knowing like, hey, this isn't going to be the status quo. Me pursuing a godly life, or a life after God's own heart. Um, because man, so much in the news and the media is telling you to do something quite the opposite. So it's a personal thing, it's a personal decision, but this is kind of where I've landed, and I appreciate that you think I'm a rock rebel. I love that.
You're very cool, Colton.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
If you enjoy videos that follow your values like ours, and you want to help us continue, go to movieguide.org/donate, because we're actually a nonprofit. You may not know that, but we're working in Hollywood every day to help families have more choices that follows their values. And also subscribe right now.